Hey everyone, David here. Thank you for the additional questions that you guys have sent through with regards to the race framework and the conversion formula that we had discussed last week. So this first question is talking about the race framework, which category would be the most important for business to spend time on? So we talked a little bit about the conversion formula and how motivation is going to be the element that has the highest weighting and really is the most important metric or element. For race, there's not a clear winner. It really depends. It's actually it's every single pillar is important, and so the answer of which of these pillars is most important depends on the product. It depends on the company and the situation that you're in. If you're a startup company, you're probably going to be spending a majority of your time on reach, so on the R, because people don't know about you. They don't know about the products, the service that you're offering. There's not many eyeballs on what you have to offer, so you're probably going to be spending more time on that. If you're a business that has been around for over 20 years and your website is suffering and you know that you already have a decent amount of traffic, but there's not a lot of people picking up the phone and calling you or ordering your product or service, then you probably have a conversion issue and you're probably going to be spending more of your time and effort on optimizing the conversion rate. So there's not a one shoe fits all for race. And that's the beauty though of race, is that we can assess every single pillar for a product, for a service, for a company, and literally almost like, develop a SWOT analysis for each one, and then use that to prioritize what it is that we're going to focus on right now. That's an exercise that we do all the time in order to figure out how are we going to move the needle. Some companies, it might be that they're not doing anything at all in the engage stage, and they have hundreds, if not thousands of customers that they've never really activated to encourage others to check out the product or service from the company. So it really depends, and our encouragement is always take a look at what the biggest opportunities are for a company. That's a great question. The next question is, when performing work for clients, how do you explain to them that they have been marketing or advertising the wrong way? Are you careful with your words because you don't want to upset them, or are you brutally honest to get their full attention? It's a great question. Myself and my team, we tend to just say it as it is. Those who know me know that I grew up in Germany, and that's just our culture, is to not beat around the bush, but just to say it as it is. But generally speaking, I think that, we're always trying to match our tone and voice to our customer. And at the end of the day, as I kind of mentioned, and also in our conversation, the most important thing in marketing is data. And so usually we try to have data talk. We try to have data deliver the message, and leveraging that in the conversation. So if we know that something's not working, then there's probably some data to back that up, and that's really going to be the focus. And but yeah, so that's a good question here. Next question is, do you need to know how to create websites or to code in order to be digital marketing? Short answer, absolutely not. Especially in digital marketing, the way that things are evolving, there are so many areas of expertise. At one point, we were helping an organization craft a team, an internal team for digital marketing. And if you kind of take a look at the various different experts that you need in order to do digital marketing well, it's from creative over user experience, over analytics, over conversion optimization, over advertising. So there's so many different areas of expertise that that can be leveraged to do digital marketing well. So you definitely do not have to code. It can help to know the difference between sort of front-end programming languages such as HTML, CSS, and JavaScript versus back-end programming languages such as .NET, Java, and PHP. And just in interaction and conversations and with other people amongst the team, but you definitely do not need to know how to develop a website. Next question is, what is the most common or avoidable marketing mistake? Probably trying to make decisions without data. And so as we kind of stressed several times now, we try to use data as much as possible. If we don't have the data, then our encouragement is to create a test so you can generate some data and some insights around what you're trying to achieve. But don't ever just kind of chase something down because it feels right, you like it, everybody else is doing it. Really try to use data and in your decision making. And then the next question is single most beneficial marketing guidance or rule. I think it's the same answer as the previous question. Use data, be data driven, leverage the RACE framework, which all of you are familiar with, and figuring out where does a particular tactic, a platform, or a creative piece fit in. Is this meant to increase the conversion rate? Is it meant to increase the awareness and the number of eyeballs that I'm getting in front of? And then measure that and make sure that you are holding your teams, holding your assets accountable to those types of things. So definitely make sure that you have benchmarks in place. If you are struggling, you don't know what the benchmark should be, then by all means reach out. We're more than happy to already provide some guidance and assistance with that as well. But single most important guidance rule is to be data driven. Next question is, what is the best way to tell if a particular effort is not working? I think that it's always important to understand where does this effort fit in within the customer journey. So is it part of reach? Is it part of interact? Is it part of convert? Is it part of engage? What is it supposed to support? And then to set sort of this benchmark in place of by this date we should be seeing this much, and then to have clarity on that before you even start pouring any kind of advertising dollars or before you even launch, and then to assess. And then so at the end of the day, it really just is going to depend on how many people are interacting with your particular creative piece or the effort. Let's say it's on the reach side and you're testing the awareness and the penetration of a video. Well, if you're able to get in front of 100,000 people within 24 hours, you might be able to already make a decision on how well it's performing within 24 hours versus if you're only getting in front of 100 people per day, well, maybe it's going to take then several weeks before you can actually then make a decision on how good or how bad this particular creative video piece is performing. So there you really want to almost like generate a hypothesis up front, set sort of a timeline, get an understanding of how big is your is the test out the gate, and then you can decide from that point how long is it going to take until you can then make that decision. The next question, there's two left. So the next one is, how do you evaluate a new platform such as TikTok? For us, we're always trying to determine how can this improve a particular stage within the customer journey, or in other words, where does it fit in within the RACE framework so that it can improve either reach, act, convert, or engage. If we can't answer that, then then there's no reason for us to, not even probably, we're not going to use it. There's no point in trying to waste our time on it. But if we do see a candidate where a platform can help raise more awareness and where it's also measurable, that's the second most important thing is that not only that it can fit into one of those buckets, we also have to be able to measure the results. So the platform has to be mature enough where we can get data and reports so that we can measure to see how successful it is. So for example, we're struggling a little bit with local advertising on TikTok because they're just not there yet, where you can target people in a particular city or a particular region. And so it kind of makes things difficult to measure then the success if you're running an awareness campaign that is geared more towards local individuals, because we know that we're getting in front of them, but at the same time we're also getting in front of so many other people across the globe. So it's difficult for us to measure that unless you're running sort of a nationwide campaign or a very hyper local campaign. It can be difficult right now, for example, on TikTok, to be spending a whole lot of advertising dollars. So in summary there, number one, make sure that you know where does this fit in the RACE framework. But the number two is ensure that there's a way to sort of measure the success. And because especially newer platforms, sometimes it takes a while that they have the maturity, that they have the necessary reporting tools and that type of thing in place for you to measure that. Last question is, how do you figure out what keywords are the best for SEO? Well, in our conversation, we discussed one of our favorite tools, which is Google Keyword Planner. It gives you information about search volume. That's one of three elements that we analyze and we take a look at as we're prioritizing a keyword strategy for a company. The next two are profitability. So we take a look at the keywords together with the business to see, well, how profitable is this keyword over another? For example, for a plumber, if somebody is searching for sewer repair versus leaky faucet repair, the sewer repair job is going to be exponentially more profitable than the leaky faucet repair. So you have to factor that in, even though leaky faucet repair might have more search volume, but it might not be as profitable as the fewer searches for sewer repair. So that's number two. Number three is that we look at how competitive is the term. And we look at that from two perspectives. So one perspective is more external. How many companies are already competing for that keyword? On the first page of Google, if we're seeing that the first page of Google are 10 local businesses, and even Yelp and Home Advisor, some of those guys are not appearing, then that's a sign that it's very, very competitive. That's the external factor. But we also look at the internal factor of where does this company already appear? Because if the company already appears on page 2, then the gap to page 1 is not that big, and that means that we're already in a good position to compete. But if the company is not to be found on Google at all, or they're on page 7 or page 10, that means the gap is so much bigger for a very competitive term, and so we have to factor that in as well. And so we use those three factors, so search volume, and then the profitability, as well as the competitiveness of a keywords to develop a balanced scorecard, and then using that to determine how we prioritize then the keywords for a business. So these are great questions. If you guys have any more, definitely feel free to send them our way. You can just email them to me or leave them here in the comments. My email is david@whites.am. More than happy to answer them. Thank you guys. Take care and bye.